one program in particular that we have covered consistently, and a school that I am very excited to talk more about, is the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They have their spring game kicking off the Matt Rhule era in Lincoln. What can we expect from the Cornhuskers? Because the last 2 years have been a little bit lackluster. There's a feeling that the personnel hasn't been up to par. Matt Rhule joined the show and said, we're going to go through the portal to get positions of need, but we're going to grow at the high school level. Took 11 transfers at this point in time. But what are we looking at in this spring game? Matter of fact, let's predict some things with this portal. Let's predict some things within this spring game. And the transfer portal is kind of top of mind, and that's because Jeff Sims is a transfer from Georgia Tech that a lot of people are fired up about at Nebraska. Casey Thompson, rehabbing from a shoulder surgery, sounds like he's on schedule, if not ahead of schedule, but you're not going to see him in the spring football game. My prediction for this quarterback room is that I think we're going to leave this spring game and feel like it's a 3-horse race at quarterback. And you're saying, JD, 3-horse race. You got Jeff Sims, you got Casey Thompson. Talking about Chuba Purdy? Listen, I like Chuba Purdy as much as the next guy. But a guy who's making a move right now in this quarterback race is Heinrich Haarberg. Heinrich Haarberg has drawn rave reviews, more or less, from practice, from his coaching staff. And they said his superpower, to quote Marcus Satterfield, he used that word, not mine, superpower, is running the football downhill. Now, I don't have this confirmed. It sounds like QBs may be live. If that's the case, we're going to see the full skill set from Heinrich Haarberg. Now, he was a guy that when Mark Whipple was running the offense at Nebraska, he was a guy who was essentially like, hey, he's not going to play. Like, good story, good athlete, 4-star guy, according to us here at On 3, out of high school. Everybody else has a 3-star. Make note of that. But, like, not going to play here. Sorry. This spring, it sounds like he's turned it on. Sounds like he adds a new element to the offense. And in this offense, it's going to have some, zone read elements to it. There's also going to be some pro-style elements to it if we know Marcus Satterfield from what he did at South Carolina. To play quarterback in this offense, Matt Rhule came on here and talked about it with us. You just got to make the right play. Like Jeff Sims, I think, has a ton of highlight play ability, and he may very well have the better day when we watch this spring game. But what wins this starting job for Nebraska at the quarterback position is making the right play. Do you hit the check down when it's 3rd and 3 and get us a first down? Do you throw the ball away when you're facing pressure instead of trying to force it into a window and getting us in a bad situation? Like, it's all very cliche. It's all very coach speak, but I'm telling you, that is the kind of operation that Matt Rhule is going to run at Nebraska. Why? Because they want to be blue collar. They want to control the clock. They want to control the line of scrimmage. They want to get back to the roots of what we've known Nebraska football to be. Physical in the trenches. We're going to do what we want to do until you stop it. And the quarterback position at Nebraska has to obviously propel that forward. But even more so, you can't keep us from getting that done because you're turning the ball over or getting us off schedule because you're making a bad decision. So Jeff Sims and Heinrich Haarberg, I think, will both have good days. I don't know that we leave this spring game saying, yep, that's the guy. Yep, that guy, that is substantially better than whatever Casey Thompson did last year. That's our guy. I think they look good, but again, they're still getting the hang of the offense, still meshing with their teammates. I think Casey Thompson will come back and it'll be neck and neck, a 3-horse race in the fall. So for Nebraska fans, be excited about that because that just means iron's going to sharpen iron. Competition's going to elevate everybody's play, or it's going to elevate the right guy's play, and you're going to have the best option at starting quarterback. So enjoy that. Now, let's talk a little bit more about what you can expect on the defensive side of the ball. Because Nebraska fans, I just talked about it. Matt Rhule, he wants to be a physical operation when it comes to what they do in the trenches, on the offensive side, but also on the defensive side. And you and I both know, man, last year, that wasn't it. Nebraska's defensive trenches last year was not up to par for anybody, but especially not Matt Rhule's Nebraska. And then they made some efforts to acquire some guys through the portal. Elijah Judy, you hope you get to see him in the spring game. Sounds like he got banged up a little bit during spring practice. But last year, they gave up 4.5 yards a carry, good for 93rd in the country, 190 yards rushing per game, good for 105th in the country. If that's what we're working with, like, we're going to have a very long season if we're Nebraska Cornhusker fans. Like, that's going to be the reality. So they're trying to still upgrade personnel, but here's why I think they're just going to look better in the spring game than what you saw a season ago. First and foremost, I've heard that the strength conditioning has been completely revamped. That's no surprise because I think Corey Campbell is that dude. He's someone I got to work with while I was at Baylor. Attention to detail, transforming the body. They do full body lifts, or at least they did when I was at Baylor nearly every day. Like that was kind of how they did it, growing the entire, what's the best way to say this? It's a very well-rounded strength program, if that makes sense. And I don't know that was necessarily in place previously at Nebraska. I don't know. I'm just questioning, but it sounds like whatever they have right now is upgrading and being geared towards what they want to do on the field. Meaning, in order to play tough, you have to lift and train tough. And Matt Rhule, if y'all have kept up with what they've done on social media, they got a nice bubble there in Lincoln to keep you nice and cozy when it's snowy outside. Like they're doing winter conditioning, pushing sleds in the snow. That's the kind of edge I want my football team to have, especially if we're trying to make a climb back to where we expect to be in the college football landscape. So to give you my prediction for the defensive side of the ball, I just think it looks substantially improved. Now, is it what we need to get to where we want to go? Is it like Big Ten championship kind of level? I think to draw that conclusion in any area of a team during a spring game is just like not responsible. But I do believe that we see just a better overall push for the reasons I mentioned. Strength conditioning improvements, and then also the attention to detail that's going to be improved, the culture that's improved, I believe, internally at Nebraska with Matt Rhule. Okay, so the defensive front, I think, will just straight up look better, is what I'm trying to say.